I would like to introduce AdvancedWeb and the resident medical device labeling guru, David Olson. Dave is active nationally in terminally sterilized medical device labeling and has chaired the labeling task group of IOPP's Medical Device Technical Committee for several years. He also participates and presents at medical device symposiums and forums such as HealthPack and writes for various industry publications. He authors the popular blog Ask Dr. O, where labeling issues and trends are analyzed, and has over 30 years' experience in the medical device labeling industry. Dave has been through, sometimes created, and usually helps solve almost every labeling challenge you can think of.
Thanks, Paul. Welcome to this introduction of advanced web and a brief overview of the medical device labeling industry. We want to tell you a little bit about us and also what's going on with medical device package labeling. AdvancedWeb is located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've been providing labels and other packaging materials like Tyvek lidding to device manufacturers since the mid-1970s. The FDA has a pretty simple requirement as to what is needed of a medical device packaging label. The label has to stick and it has to be readable. Pretty simple stuff. How device manufacturers interpret that and devise the methods for qualification and validation of labeling systems is where things begin to get sticky, pardon the pun. That simple paragraph seen in the previous slide in CFR 21 has literally spawned a cottage industry of medical device labeling that involves package engineering, regulatory affairs, sourcing, marketing, and QA departments. On most devices, labels are the proverbial deck chair on the Titanic, a very minuscule part of the overall cost of the product, yet unlike the deck chair, capable of damaging the ship. A disproportionate number of FDA warning letters involve labeling issues of one kind or another. Medical device labeling has a number of challenges, with new ones being added constantly. Tamper evidence, the addition of more languages. Our record at AdvancedWeb right now is 26 languages on one label. Additional ISO symbols and an increasing demand for sterilization indicators are a few of the issues that have come up. The FDA will also issue its rules on unique device identification in 2012, creating more challenges for real estate space on labels. There is also an arthroplasty labeling initiative and an ASTM subcommittee F04, which would prescribe content and layout of labeling on that line of devices if it's adopted. That initiative was spearheaded by AAOS, the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. The labeling must also be user-friendly at the operating room level, as many AORN, Association of Registered Nurses, surveys have indicated. OR nurses have also become a lot more interested in a visual sterilization indicator on the labeling as well. The FDA, as we all know, is very interested in your labeling processes and systems and are especially curious if there's an issue. Some of the challenges are listed in the slide above. The typical package has a wide variety of substrates that the label needs to adhere to. Tyvek lidding or pouches, PET trays, nylon film, SBS cartons with various coatings that make the marketing people happy, papers, forms, corrugated, and a handful of other materials. The demand printing methods, typically laser or thermal transfer, that are used by the device manufacturers, along with label sets that are commonly used for terminally sterilized packaging, means that you have to label all of those substrates with one adhesive, and the labels don't necessarily stick to everything uniformly. As the final piece of the puzzle, the package is then sterilized using one of several fairly harsh methods, and then it's shipped in everything from airplanes to salespersons' trunks to the operating room. Records of both qualification, testing, and validation activities, as well as individual lots, need to be set up and maintained. And if they are not maintained, see bullet point 1 in the slide. A survey of device manufacturers on labeling and validation and qualification shows that there's not a lot of consistency or standardization in label testing. We did this survey in 2009 as part of the labeling task group of IOPS Medical Device Technical Committee. If 60% of the companies polled test for abrasion resistance or label performance, as the chart indicates, that means that 40% do not. Are they sure their labels meet requirements? The results of the survey are summarized in this slide. Labeling processes and protocols seem to be a bit like the fellow in the image, just whacking at the next labeling issue that crops up rather than a more systematic and standardized approach. AdvancedWeb has dealt with labeling of terminally sterilized medical devices since the practice began in the mid-1970s. We have worked with and helped solve most every labeling issue that has cropped up since then. In addition to the technical side of device labeling, we also work to make labeling systems cost-effective, with our mantra being, reduce the total applied cost. Device manufacturers need to focus on what it takes to get their product to the hospital shelf rather than the standalone cost of the label. A number of factors that impact the total applied cost of the label are illustrated in the diagram above. A hiccup with any one of those factors can blow a cost savings gained on inexpensive labels right out of the water. AdvancedWeb will help with the technical aspects as well as the effort to reduce total applied cost. In the process and along the way, we hope to be easy to do business with and have a little bit of fun as well. We have been there and done that. AdvancedWeb will help you be sure that your labeling system is both FDA friendly and delivers your product to the customer at the lowest total applied cost. Thanks for your time. We would love to discuss device labeling with you in depth in September at the Medical Device and Diagnostics Manufacturing in San Antonio. Thanks again.